Hey YouTube, this is Zach with Achilles Financial, and today I'm going to be talking about Broadcom, which trades under the ticker symbol AVGO on the NASDAQ. The reason why I want to talk about Broadcom is this is a company that has been historically highly acquisitive, and they trade in the semiconductor space. So we spoke not too long ago on NVIDIA, who has been an absolute crazy high flyer this year. I would note that Broadcom is not up a small amount, coming up 66% this calendar year, although that is still quite a bit lower than the other two big players in the space, AMD as well as NVIDIA. Although, again, AMD is quite a bit smaller from an overall company perspective, both in terms of revenue, total assets, market capitalization. So why did I want to talk about Broadcom? So this is a company that has historically been a lot more on the manufacturing side, but they are heavily involved in things like data centers, telecom, enterprise sales, and then they are also included in a lot of networking applications. They are also based here in the United States, although they have quite a bit of a international audience as well in terms of what they sell and what they provide. They have gone through a number of acquisitions over the years, with the biggest one going to be VMware, which has lately been on hold due to what I would describe as geopolitical tensions with China. However, I do think it is going to go through. So this is a company that has quite a bit similarities to what we've seen in the semiconductor or tech industry as a whole, where we have had a massive run up this calendar year. And we've also seen over the course of the past few weeks, some run ups, some run downs. So the question is Broadcom going to be in a similar boat to like an NVIDIA? So there are a few things that we can look at here that I think, hey, could this be a potential short opportunity? Mostly because, again, there could be a big move. You can see before the big run up when they announced the VMware deal, they were trading in the $600 range. Now they are at $930 with some of the estimates, including someone like a CFRA group, suggesting that their target could be $1,000 a share, which they were not too far off of not too long ago. So the question is, what could they do from here? So there are a few things that I like about the company as I scroll down here. Again, they pay a very healthy dividend. So you can see that that's a quarterly dividend of just under $5 a share, about right now annualized 2% dividend. And they have been growing their earnings per share over the course of the past 4 quarters. So the growth is there on an EPS basis. However, if we come down below and we talk about their income statement on a larger scale, especially again on that quarterly view, you can see that they just haven't quite been increasing at the level that you would expect, with the past 3 quarters being lower than what they saw in Q4 of 2022 from a total revenue perspective. Now, at the same time, though, expenses have continued to go down, which has caused the total net income to still stay relatively healthy. Admittedly, this is a company that, while they do have quite a bit of cash on the sidelines that they can use or deploy, the company isn't growing as fast as some of the other players in their space, recognizing that they are a lot more hardware driven, not as much software driven, although the VMware acquisition should be quite a bit helpful in driving some of that recurring or high margin software sales. And once again, this is a company that is highly acquisitive, so they have the capability to continue to push or look for opportunities in the marketplace. The question is, are they going to be able to showcase or maintain such a high level of a private or price to earnings ratio? So you can see, and again, I don't think that AMD is going to be the best example here, but 2 other players in ASML and Taiwan Semiconductor. Taiwan Semiconductor, probably a closer representation here, maintains a much lower price to earnings scale than you're seeing with Broadcom. So the question is, what are we going to get by holding on to Broadcom versus someone such as Taiwan Semiconductor, AMD, or NVIDIA? While there is a lot to like about the company, some of the concerns I have is, are they going to see some of their business be taken away by Apple making their own products? So a large customer of Broadcom is Apple. If you start to see some of that pain point, then you're going to continue to see more and more of Apple producing their own chips, producing their own semiconductors, and that would be a heavy blow to the income associated with Broadcom. And in addition to that, you could see some of that price to earnings materially decline. Again, if this goes to 20 or 25, you're going to see that drop pretty materially in the share price unless you're seeing that earnings side drop at the same time. But for this company to drop back where it was in October of this calendar year, the low 800s, I feel like you have the capability to get some fairly cheap puts at this point in time. So if I'm looking at this on the options basis, and again, we've got the chain here. So if you go out to what we're seeing in the, I want to go a little bit farther out. So if we go a little bit farther out into the March-April timeframe, you can see that from a puts perspective, you can actually buy some pretty inexpensive puts in terms of getting some time on it. Again, this is the 900, which is $30 less. However, we can obviously break that much larger, but you can see that you can get fairly inexpensive puts at levels that they haven't or they've seen in the not too distant past. Now, this is how I would go short the stock versus borrowing against it, just because this is the strategy that I'm more familiar with. But this is a company that has a lot to like about it, and I don't have issues with the company itself. This is just another instance of, again, we've had a very high flyer. The question is, are they going to continue flying high? And as we've seen some weakness in NVIDIA, I think that Broadcom would follow what we're seeing on the NVIDIA side. So once again, Broadcom, a lot to like. However, there's weakness in the revenue side, weakness in semiconductors. I think in the short term, we may see some opportunity here. This is all just my opinion, by no means a financial professional, and please don't take this as research advice. So if you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section down below. Thanks. Talk to you later.